Started.
All right.
Thank you everyone for joining us this evening. I know a lot of you had games, or a lot of individuals do have games. So we appreciate those of you who have the night off joining us to continue to learn and take in some valuable information from our three wonderful volunteers who come willingly to share information with all of you. Just as in the past, we'll have the Q&A or that chat box that's open. If you have questions, please feel free to ask those questions in that box. And tonight will be a little bit different. Lisa and Danielle will actually help out with those. I'm currently at the soccer field with my little guy. So I'll be listening in, but I'm going to let those ladies help out a little bit. We're planning to go for about an hour like usual. We know you guys' time is valuable. But again, if it's good conversation and we go a little bit over, we'll allow that and we'll continue it. But if you have to leave, please feel free to take off at any time that you need to, so you can take care of your business. As we know, your time is valuable. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Larry to get us started.
Thanks, Jeremy, and welcome to all the umpires that are out there. Like Jeremy said, in February, we had a whole bunch of umpires because we weren't on the fields yet. But now we've got rainouts and reschedules and Wednesday night games. So for all of you who are watching it online next week, thanks for logging on and spending some time to watch it after we're done. So again, we've got Diane Kendall and Cindy Bruno, the two assistant evaluators, lead evaluators in Florida. We've got Danielle, our softball administrator, and we have Lisa from FHSAA. So thanks for joining us. Just start off with the just a couple of things to get us kicked off. I never imagined when I read the point of emphasis this year on a rule that's been in the book since the very beginning, well, how much turmoil it would cause, and that's the point of emphasis on 60 seconds between innings. We've had, but it's helped, at least in the Panhandle, on the games that I've gone to evaluate. The crews have been limiting the number of pitches. The pitchers and catchers are figuring it out. They're getting out there. Most of the pitchers only want 2 or 3 warm-ups anyway, and they're saying, let's go down. So we're cutting the time between innings. Games are still long. So use your toolbox. If you have time violations, call it. Call it early. Call a ball. If the pitcher's over 20 seconds, call a strike on the batter if she's not in the box in 10 seconds. And once you do it once or twice, it won't happen again. So use that tool. Also, we have a lot of player-to-player conferences, which we don't count in high school. A lot of requests, first baseman going in and talking to, and then the shortstop comes. What I suggest on that is base umpire, go into the circle with them, hurry them up, say, okay, let's go, ladies, we're playing ball. So, and again, the time between innings, if they're hustling, then we've got what we want. We wanted them to hustle in, hustle out. Don't be overly officious on that. But if they're not hustling, then cut the time of the limit, the warm-up pitches to 3 or 2 or 1, or here we go, we're playing ball, whatever you need to do. One more thing before we get on to our 3-umpire mechanics, which is the whole point of doing this webinar tonight. Illegal pitches, from my perspective, I haven't heard as much this year. I think the pitchers are getting the step on with start back and then go from there and not stepping back part of the motion. I think we pretty much got that. We still have illegal pitches though. We have leaps. I had a video that I probably got 5 times of a pitcher that was leaping really 4 feet in front of the pitcher's plate. His coach or her coach saw that video when we shared it, and he contacted me and was upset, wanted to know where I got it. So I told him I got it from 4 different sources, and I told him where they came from. And his comment in his email was, if my pitcher is not being called for illegal pitches, I'm leaving her alone. So we're not going to get help from the coaches, guys. We have to call illegal pitches. You have to call it every time you see it. And he said, then I'll have her fix it. Oh, well, good luck. I hope she can. Anyway, if you see them, call them. Don't even hesitate. So now moving on to Three-Umpire mechanics, there's 2 documents on the central hub that you should absolutely have downloaded, printed out, share with your associations. And that's the FHSAA softball mechanics and Three-Umpire tips. Three-Umpire tips gives you the starting position for every situation for the umpires. But between those 2 documents and the other things on the central hub, you have a lot to use in your meetings to teach them. So I'm going to share my screen now, bring up Diane's PowerPoint. And, oh, wrong one. We'll get to that one later.
You get there. Hey, there you go.
All right, Diane, you're in charge.
All right, awesome. All right, the best place to start, play dump. All right, going over a little bit Florida high school version, hopefully. All right, so everybody should start at our central hub. We already invented the wheel, so we don't need to reinvent it, but maybe tweak it. If you go to the central hub, they big things as a plate umpire, you're directing the show. So look up the pitching rule, look at the calling positions. Look where, like Larry was saying about the ump tips, we need to know everybody else's mechanics. All right, and then as another thing, you know, we always got to go over DP flex. Always got to go over that every year as often as possible. All right, next. All right, so just like we discussed, just the tips, 4 basic rules to remember, and there are 4 of them jotted down. The rotations, when you're counter rotated. All right, what we cover and what we're meant, what our FHSAA tenet is. All right, we're going out on all the fly balls that are able to touch leather or a person. All right, when you are base and you go out, you turn that back. You need to do something. All right, next. Now, every year we go over, I think in our December, in every meeting that we've ever had, we go over this. If you look, that isn't a calling position. I don't know why we go there, but we still, even at the collegiate level, we still have people getting there. All right, Larry, go to that next one. This is the reason that isn't a calling position. If y'all are looking, that umpire has no idea what happened because you're not able to look through them. All right, just another little spiel on that. Use the wedge. All right, next. All right, a little bit of nuts and bolts, and this is a little bit busy, but the plate umpire, that is also, I think, why they put me there a lot. It isn't that much different. You are always gonna, you know, got to do balls and strikes. Hopefully you are being consistently accurate. So we go over a little bit on check swings, talking about no runners and the U1 goes out. Plate ump, you got to hustle to a calling position at first base. Or hey, that third base ump, they got second and third base. There you go, rotations, right? Whenever that starts on that line, this is the biggest thing that we get in trouble with. That plate they aren't letting them know they bolt down the third base, but don't forget first base you got to get it home. Then plate if U1 starts rotated, all right, there aren't any rotations. Neither base umpire goes out. Plate you have no responsibility at third. Don't forget to stay at home and deepen up at point of plate. Not like those other two videos of that little, I don't know, we'll come up with some devious place for that. But don't go to that bogus holding zone. All right, next. All right, so when you're the plate umpire, everybody is looking at home. Those are the big plates. You get in position, watch what's happening. If you look at the picture with the arrow and he's got a great out looking, take a look at the arrow. What's on the ground? That's the softball on the ground. So, we got to be patient and watch. You got the other guy on the left. All right. You're almost too close in this instance. You got in that first pick. You got a softball on the ground. You got your catcher. She might have just fell, might have got run over, but don't get too close to the play so that it explodes on you. Next. All right, so now duties to consider. It is so important as a plate that you are constantly communicating. All right, when you request help on that check swing, take your mask off. All right, use those mechanics that we used to practice at the beginning of the season. All right, just don't sit there and half-heartedly look late and then say your ump's name. All right, make sure they're watching. All right, give them a second. If they've rotated, make sure you make eye contact. All right, and then give a good mechanic. If you think it was a strike, give that. All right, if you didn't, give a nice safe signal. All right, when we are talking about infield fly, don't get cutesy. Everything is being recorded. All right, just go ahead and talk to each other. And then the other big thing when we get in trouble, if you lose track of the outs or if you lose track of that count, and right, that never happens. We got an indicator. But just ask that person. Don't do all the little fidgety signs. Just ask, what count do you got? That it might be embarrassing, but if you do it once every now and then, at least you're going to get the right count. Next. All right, so this is something that we should be doing. For regular season, you should do that at the ballparks at the beginning of the year. Once we got the playoffs, once you're doing district and your postseason, everybody should be walking that field together just in case there's something weird happening. We got a little Boston Fenway Park action there. So you guys go together and do this so that you know what's up on that ball field. Next. All right, this is a little bit another busy slide, but it is a lot of information. All right, and fly balls, that gets us in so much trouble, but it all starts with that plate umpire. And I also think of when you're doing your pregame on this. All right, make sure you guys talk about this. All right, even if you worked with somebody all season, or if you never worked with these people, talk about what your duties are. That plate umpire, if people aren't going out, you've got to step up, be able to get in a good position, all right, to make these calls. I'm not going to read everything on this, but it is something once we post this, It is really good info. All right, again, when you're the plate umpire, most of us everybody is able to call an illegal pitch, but that plate, don't forget your initial responsibility. You are watching their hands, you are watching that pitcher take the signal and get into that. Hopefully they're getting in a good rhythm, and talk to your catcher. Don't just chitty chat, but if you gotta help, get that squared away early. All right, DP flex. These are basic tenets, but stuff that we do on a lineup card that gets us in trouble. We need to be consistent. You should be sitting down, going over this. And, I got stuff on the left leads to the stuff on the right here. All right, know what that DP flex is. Know that if they start with it, all of these things to the right can happen. All right, another couple of things that tend to get us in trouble. All right, now go over what that courtesy runner is able to do with the DP and flex. All right, now what happens, again, basic tenet. All right, when they're designated for that hitting, the pitcher or catcher for whom they are running, they may not return run while that courtesy runner is on a base. All right, another thing, don't let courtesy runners run for another courtesy runner.
Okay.
All right, and like everything, we've got a couple exceptions in FHSAA. All right, so stuff dealing with injuries, all right, or disqualifications. All right, and these things all happen to an offensive player, defensive player, or if something happens to the courtesy runner. Make sure you review this so that you're ready for it. All right, I wanted to delve in a little bit to the pregame. This is something that is so important for that plate umpire. You're the person that starts this discussion, but it's a discussion. So get everybody involved. Make sure that your first base, third base ump know what they're doing. Make sure you have an inkling of what they're doing. Now, unless you're somebody like me, whenever I'm working third base, you might not ever be sure what that third base ump is doing, but go over and have a good talk. There is stuff at the beginning of our manual. There is stuff that has been printed out. A lot of associations have given you a printed out pregame to go over, but all of these things are good to talk about, especially in the postseason. And then, that plate umpire, when we start getting these postseason games, make sure you're contacting that AD. Make sure you know where to park. And make sure that you know how you're getting paid. Are you picking up that check? Are they mailing it? So that you, and don't leave it in your ball bag and let it drop out. Make sure that you're figuring out where to park and drive. All of these things even before this pregame. But if you got a little bit of a drive and everybody's driving together, heck, do the pregame in the vehicle. That's not a bad thing to do. And then it's so important the postgame. If you have to talk about something right away, do that. But also when y'all are driving in the vehicle, make sure you have a constructive postgame. You don't want to just rant. You don't want to talk about stuff that happened elsewhere. Go over what you did and be honest. Third base give that plate guy feedback. If something happened, talk about it so that if you got other games, then you can fix it. All right, everybody, yes, we all do well. You don't need a cookie for doing what you're supposed to. Let's make sure we're fixing everything and getting better. All right, so this is my pictures of, this is something to think about. In that first picture, what are we there for, folks? We are there about these players. We are there about the coaches. All right, I left the ump out of that picture. All right, how are we going to insert ourselves into this game? Are we going to meddle and mess something up? Or are we going to just have a great ball game? Nobody even noticed we were there. But as you look into that picture to the right, there is going to be a big part of that game. You are going to have game management. You're going to have to solve something. There's going to be big things happening. Be ready to talk about it. Get these coaches to talk with you. Don't yell back and forth at each other. If you've got questions, let them ask a question. Get them to a question. Get together with your partners. All right, but be ready to manage that ball game. All right, end of game procedures. You know, this is something that you guys need to get a game plan. All right, there are certain places where you got to go in and out. It doesn't matter what side. You got to go in and out the first base side or third base side. But if you're able, leave off of the winning side. How many people, they get their water jugs, they leave it on the fence, everybody's ready to go, and then you got that one umpire, oh, I left my jug on the fence. You know, if you're able, let them give you a water bottle, let them give you the water. Don't leave stuff up on the fence. Go off of that field together. All right, and as always, don't ask me these questions for discussion. That's the big boss, Larry. You guys got any questions? Ask him. We all talk about it.
We love to get your questions online, emails, phone calls, anytime. Love talking softball. So thanks, Diane, covered the UIC and the plate umpire's responsibilities there. Cindy's going to cover first base umpire's responsibilities, and as usual, Cindy is the video queen. So we've got a couple videos that we'll share. Well, you just tell me which one you want when you're ready, Cindy.
All right. Hello, everyone. Glad you all can make it. First, we'll talk about, Larry's got one picture that everybody is on camera. Okay, there is not one ball field anymore that doesn't have some type of camera watching the umpires, actually not watching the umpires, watching the kids play, obviously. But when a umpire makes a bad call, everybody wonders why it's on YouTube or Zoom or wherever, Facebook, wherever else. Right there, I can count a whole bunch of cameras. So just know when you go out there, you need to do your best, be your best. And on as we are being looked at by everyone. All right, on to first base. I'm not going to go over what the guide says because we all should have read that. I'm just going to pick out some pointers for you. Proper distance, we need to understand that we need to be 18 to 21 feet with nobody on. The reason for that is our angles and distances. You don't want the play to explode on you, especially a quick bunt or anything like that. We don't ever want to be past a 45. All right. So get your proper distance on a force play. Once we have a runner on base, we want to get closer to that base. We want to be 10 to 12 feet. The reason we do that is because the potential for the tag play on a throwback is pretty high. So we want to be close enough so that we can see everything that's going on. If you do have a runner on and you're 10 to 12 and all of a sudden the ball gets hit and it's in the infield, then we're going to assume we're going to have a potential double play. So you're going to have to get back to your 18 to 21 calling depth so that you can make a proper force play call at first base. All right, on to fair and foul. Okay. Us as base umpires, when you're on the line, you have a responsibility of fair and foul past you, basically. The umpire has it up to you, which includes going on or over the base. All right. You can always help later, especially if it's a fair ball that you know is foul. We can correct that. We can get the call right. But plate umpires have the fair foul up to you. You have the ball past you. If you are going to go on a close ball down the line or a fly ball to the outfield, get out there. You don't have to go catch the ball. Okay. We just want to take however many steps you can take to get a good line on the ball. We don't want to run at the ball. We want to run perpendicular or get some angle on the catch, no catch. But stop. Please be stopped when you make your call. If it's a quick shot and it's a home run on down that right field line, you just want to turn. You want to make sure you get the ball and the pole and the fence and everything in front of you. And that could be just one step, and then focus on all three elements. So fair and foul, if it's close and your plate umpire is going to have a rough rough time making that call down the first base line on a foul ball, get out there and help them. That's what we're there for. All right, we'll talk about priorities real quick. When we're at first base and we don't have a runner on, our priorities, we have 3 priorities. Okay, the first one would be the pitcher. Is she legal? The second one would be now towards the batter. Did she bunt? Did she check swing? Anything that she does. And the third thing would be making the call. So whatever call comes next. If it's going to be a bunt up the first base line, don't go too soon to your calling position. Stay on that line and make sure you don't have any interference, obstruction, fair foul, running lane violations. You can help your plate umpire with that as well. So, and as soon as you see that you've got nothing, then get on over in your 45 and make your call at first base. Priorities, when we have a runner on, we added one more priority. We now have 4. Okay. So you've got the illegal pitch and you've got the runner leaving early. Then you've got check swing responsibilities or hit by pitch. And then you've got the play again. So every time pre-pitch prep, but those are your priorities as well as your pre-game prep skills. Always look around, see where your outfielders are. All right, it makes a big difference if they're playing in short and you got a line drive over the infield, or if they're playing deep and you've got a line drive over the infield. All right, one's going to be a quick play right into the infield for a potential out at a base, and the other one's going to be a base hit with everybody being safe because they're so deep. So keep an eye on your outfielders. If you have to look at them every time, look at them every time. All right. Fly balls. Know your chase responsibilities, but the biggest thing that I see, we don't look at our partner, read the ball, and look at our partner again. We have to look twice. And if you look twice, you'll know whether they went or not. Because sometimes it's a slower reaction with some umpires. So you've really got to make sure that they went so that we can get that fly ball covered. Positioning. With you've got a runner on first and you've got a potential rotation where you're going to have to rotate home and there's no play at first base, we can kind of cheat a little bit and come forward into foul territory. And as you're heading south towards the plate, all you have to do is peek over your shoulder and look at that runner touch the base. At that point in time, you can get home as that runner from first just went to third. Same if you have a no runners on and you know that runner's going to third, that's a rotation. You don't have to be at your 45 in fair territory. You can be going into foul territory at your 45. If nothing happens, then you're already down towards the coach's box and heading home for that runner as she's rounding. All we have to do at that point is make sure that we have a touch. We don't have any interference or obstruction. mostly obstruction with the first base, with the first base defense. So if we don't have any of that, then you can go ahead and head on home and get the point of plate. And remember, it's point of plate. Sorry, I'm fighting a little whatever I got. What else do we have? The first right of refusal on the fly ball. Just think about this in your pregame, because you guys are going to talk about center field. How are you going to take the center fielder play? Coming in, going back, going left, going right. However you decide it, just think about the point that it's better to have you one stay at first base on something that's short in front of the fielder for potential play at first base than it is to have that plate umpire try and get up to first base to make that call. You're right there. You know, just think about the defense and how they're positioned and what would be better to get the call right. Let me see what else I wrote. With runners on first and second, I see a lot of umpires wanting to be closer to second base. You've got to give that first base respect as well. All right. You never know when they're going to do a throwback to first. And at times they will, especially if we got good catchers. So you more or less want to stay at the 30 mark, work in between pitches. Look at those runners, see which one may be leading off more, maybe shy her way, and as you're working in between pitches, but keep your eye on both of them. If you do have a throw to second, you may want to either step in to get your 90 or try and work harder at a parallel. If you've got the throw back to first, you definitely want to do more of a parallel back towards the outfield. So you'll have to back up a little bit and try and go east-west on the railroad tracks and get a good angle at first base. Same thing on when R1 is counter rotated, we got a double play ball. If it's an easy double play at second base, we don't need to fight to get a good view of that, because we can see everything that's happening. It's that easy. So we want to participate. We want to try and anticipate a little bit harder on that play at first base, because that's going to be your close play. And we want to make sure we back up to get a better angle at first base than staying at our 10 to 12 where we normally would be if the defense allows us. Let's see, we can show a couple of, Larry, you can show those other pictures. This is just some positioning of some umpires, just so you can see what they look like on a ball field and what we shouldn't do. Here we go. We're U1. Got our hands on our hips. I'm not sure if we're happy to be there. We're bored. We don't want to be there. All right. Really not into the game at all. Go ahead. Well, this is plate, but we don't use scissors. I'm not sure where this came from, but it is high school kid games, so we don't want the scissors out there.
Looks like
One
I lost.
more.
Yeah, and hang on.
The last one will show.
Got to get it again.
What I'm by your positioning at second base. This only had a runner on first base, but the umpire was probably 15 feet to second base instead of being 15 feet to first base. All right. Hopefully we all know what the circle is and how we can use the circle to approximate our positions on the field. If you leave first base and walk out the front edge of that pitching circle is your 15-foot mark, and the backside of that pitching circle will be your 15-foot mark to second base. So we've kind of got to use the circle if we can and get better positions. And again, when we have runners on first and second, we want to be dead center so that we can go either way with however the play happens.
Finally, I got it. I found it.
Got it. All right.
I just got to find it again. There it is.
All right. As you can see, there's only a runner on first base, and he's way over on the second base side of the second baseman. Okay, if we get a throw back to first base, there's no way he's going to be there and be in a calling position that everybody's going to believe. All right. And the only other thing is, if we're counter rotated and there's a fly ball to right field, we have to get inside and button hook. Okay. The quicker you get inside, the better off you're going to be to pick everything up. And if we've got bases loaded, you got first and second. So get on the horse. But anyway, that's about all I have.
You want your other videos? The two movies?
We can well, we can show them now or wait till after we get done with your portion and then wrap it up with some videos.
This is a good time.
Okay. All right, now we don't want to have rabbit ears, but at the same time, obviously the coach yelled something that caught our plate umpire's attention, as you can see right there. All right, he walks over to the dugout, and we don't point at that time. All right, if we're going to talk to a coach, let's talk to a coach, because now you just incited him to come on out here. Now, at this point in time, a plate umpire doesn't have to get animated. You've already tossed him. You are done. You are done with him. This is where your base umpires come in. All right. Either base umpire needs to take the coach and corral him and take him to the exit gate. The plate umpire should never come back. Never should be the one to escort him off. The other thing, if you saw or didn't see with that, is he actually put his arm in his arm to help him off the field, which didn't help because the coach came back a second time. All right. And now he's over there able to say more things to that plate umpire that just doesn't need to be said. So in anticipation, if whoever throws a coach or player or, well, we don't want to go down the line, but if you throw a coach or a player, the other umpires have to take care of business. You have to escort them off. You have to tell them, listen to them and just say, yes, coach, we know, coach, but you've been ejected. You have to go. You have 1 minute to leave the field. All right. And just kind of put your arms out and kind of go direct him. Don't touch him. Keep your hands away, but put your arms out and try and corral him as best you can by just going, all right, coach, all right, you got to go. Yes, I understand. Just appease him and just say, yes, I understand what you're saying, but we've got to go. You've been ejected. And try and limit that time to getting him off the field. And the longer he stays, the worse it's going to be for him. So, but I did want to show this as to say, this is what we do not do. Anybody, any comments? Diane?
Yeah, I'll go up and speak a little bit on this. In regards to ejections, if you do have a coach that's being an issue, you've ejected them already and they're just not leaving, just simply tell the administrator on site, the assistant coaches, whoever is there, that this game's not going to restart until the coach is gone. If he still doesn't leave, then the game will be ended and the score will be as it is. And you can deal with that part of it with FHSAA. But we don't want you staying around for 5, 10, 15 minutes for a coach to actually leave. If they're just being that stubborn about it and their ejection and administrators not helping out, just simply tell them, all right, if you don't leave, we don't continue the game. And then at that point, it's their choice on whether or not the game ends correctly or it ends due to that coach not leaving. So again, give them their time. As Cindy said, kind of escort them out. We understand, but you have to leave. But if they keep going, at some point, an end does have to come to a point. So just let them know that it will be ended if they don't leave. So that's kind of all I want to say about that. And then obviously make sure the report gets to our office as soon as possible, because some schools do have a game the next day. May need to know that what their coach's ejection is going to be or what that suspension is going to be. So again, please just get that in as soon as possible so we can start handling it on our end. And in regards to that as well, if they do ask you what's my suspension going to be like, what's my fine going to be like, you just say, Coach, unfortunately, you'll have to get with the FHSAA on that. I submit the report, and then it's in the hands of FHSAA. Don't tell them I think it might be this or I think it might be that. That will only get everybody involved in a sticky situation. So just let them know once I turn my report in, that's all through the FHSAA. You need to speak with them.
Thanks, Jeremy. Appreciate it. You want the other one, Cindy?
Sure. All right, this one will show the importance of making verbal and hand signals. If you can see during this whole play, U1 has made one signal as to what he had at first base. Can you replay that, Larry?
Sure.
If you watch the plate umpire comes right up with not as strong a signal as what he could have, but with a signal saying he's got no catch. I've got no catch. Now he should have been coming up the line further saying no catch, no catch, about the 10 to 15 foot mark saying no catch, no catch. But this would have alleviated the batter runner not knowing and the R1 not knowing that she should be on second and the batter runner should be first. But if you play it again, the key takeaway factor here, as U1, he's got to make a call. He should have looked at the plate, seen his arms up, and called the batter runner out. And then at that point, when the runner R1 got back to first base, he should have put out a nice safe signal so that everybody knows batter runner is out, R1 who came back to first base is safe. But this ended up being a real cluster, and it led to a couple warnings for some coaches just because we as umpires did not make proper signals and or
Yep.
verbal outs and safes.
So you got a conference.
Yeah, we had a conference. They were discussing if they had a catch or no catch.
Now they got another conference.
Got another conference because now they want a look back rule violation. And it ended up, I'll just say U3 ended up making a call up and the coaches left, but it wasn't the right call. But again, all that would have been alleviated had U1 just made out call and a safe call.
One more time. Full speed.
All right, plate says safe. Short hop the ball, tag the ball. never tag R1. One of the rules, the ball's in the circle, the ball was still being thrown back, the look back rule violation, anything like that. So that's another thing we have to pay attention to. When did that ball get to the circle? Was my runners? Are they stopped? Have they taken one step forward and to come back? You know, that's the look back rule violation.
All right.
So
Thanks, Cindy.
these things.
And guys, we do have one question up here in the chat box if you want to take a quick question break.
Sure.
Jeffrey asked, who goes out when an outfielder raises her hand that the ball is stuck in the fence? What is the penalty if the ball is not lodged in the fence?
Well, whoever's, if we're in three-umpire, it's whoever's, the chase zone would go out. So if it's no runners, left field, third base umpire, right field side, first base umpire. If the ball is not lodged in the fence and then the runners have continued to run, then they get what they can get. If it is lodged in the fence, then we got our 2-base award from the time of the pitch for all runners.
All right, that's our only question so far. So
Okay. Well, we got now we've covered plate, we've covered first base. Let me share my screen again. And nope, that's not the one. Not yet. All right, so now we'll cover the third base umpire. And those are the 4 rules again. You can refer back to those. Rotations always go clockwise. My third base umpire is always going to go cover first and second. Plate's going to cover third base. And the first base umpire is going to the point of the plate if we have a rotation. And that occurs when the lead runner commits to third base. Okay? But if we start with U1 counter rotated, we will not have a rotation. And the others are on chases. So third base umpire. Associations, when you're putting your crews together for Danielle, coming up here in mid-April, I think it's due to her. Don't put your new person on U3. Put your most experienced umpire on U3. You don't try to hide somebody that really doesn't know what they're doing. At third base, it's real obvious when they get to Claremont. We covered the starting positions here. When you have no runners, you're on the line. In foul, 18 to 21 feet back, walk in the line. When you have that runner on first base only, U3 rotates to a position on the inside of third base through the inside of second base, extended, and 12 feet back of the baseline. With your lead runner on second, you're on the line in foul ground, 12 feet back of the base. And if you have, anytime you have a runner on third base, be a full stride off the line and 12 feet back. And the reason we want you full stride off the line is coaches teach their runners to go down in foul and come back in fair. If you're on the line, she goes down in foul, you're blocked from seeing check swing, from pitch hitting the batter, batted ball hitting off the batter's foot, and you're also blocked by that line drive that's coming past her helmet right at you. So for your own protection and for better calling, be a full stride off the line and 12 feet back when you have that runner in front of you in third base. Repeat what Diane and Cindy said. Whenever you have U1 first base umpire starting on the line, you have a potential for a rotation. When the lead runner rounds second and commits to third, U3, you have all subsequent calls at first and second base. Push your U1 to the plate and pull your plate umpire to third base. Good, strong verbals, please. U3, we call you the rabbit because U3 does most of the running during the game, often. So we got a target right there at calling position. It's actually holding position for a potential tag play at second base. It's 10 feet short of the baseline, just on the first base side of second base. You go to that target on plays in the infield. You go on base hits to the outfield, keep your eye on the ball, don't get in the throwing lane. You also hit that spot on a base on balls, with no runners, base on balls. Because that ball is live, And until that batter runner settles on first base, you hold at that position. You stop there, you wait till she settles, then you relocate to your rotated position. You also have second base on any infield pop-up. Now, you may not be able to go straight to that position because you don't want to get involved with the players. You may have to go out and around or in and around and get to that position. I'm going to show you a video of an umpire actually doing that in a game. Finally got a video of that. When you have that runner on first, you're rotated. We've put you almost in the ideal holding position for a steal second base. You're 12 feet back to the baseline. All you have to do is take a step up and then adjust to keep all the four elements in view. But as Cindy said, if you have a force play at second base, you're too close. 12 feet is too close for a force play. You want to be 18 to 21. So you have to give a couple steps, and ideally you'll make them directional. If the throw's coming from inside the baseline, say the pitcher's circle, you move back into your left to 18 feet. That'll give you a good close to 90 on the throw. If it's coming from outside the baseline, say from the shortstop, move back into your right to 18 feet, and that'll give you a better angle for the force play. We have what we call the backside 90. You start rotated, throw goes to first base, like sack bunt, for example. That runner round second, move around to the backside, because if she's rounding second and there's a throwback, you're in a perfect position for a possible tag play as she's diving back to second base. And I'll keep my screen shared here. Every year we go through all the evaluations from the 21 games at the finals and come up with the most common dings that the evaluators have gotten. And every year it's on chases. And that's not surprising. It's because we don't do that in 2-ump. But we want us to do it when we go to 3-ump mechanics. And again, I'm repeating kind of what Cindy and Diane have already covered. Know your chase areas. Cover everything that has potential to touch leather. U1 has the right of first refusal because U3 is usually moving towards the rabbit target anyway, so he can read U1. But as Cindy said, more often than not, it makes sense for U3 to go out and U1 to stay in and that ball between the two areas. Verbals. All 3 umpires should be yelling 2-man or 2-ump, and you may also give a visual signal. If it's real loud, sometimes a raised hand going out will give a good signal to your partners that you're chasing. Chase parallel to the flight, and don't chase at the play. Way too often, umpires are running towards the play. Stop and be set. Easiest ding we have is a ball to the outfield, U3 chases, the catch is made, he's still running. Or the ball hits the ground, he's still running. That's the easiest ding an evaluator has. Like any other play, you've got to be stopped and set. If it's near the line, you have fair foul, you have catch, no catch. Once you turn your back, make your signal while you're facing the play. If you go out, stay out. Turn back towards the infield and watch the rest of the play, because you may have, if you end up with a conference, you may be able to contribute a piece of information. I'm going to talk about chasing parallel. Here's one, ball to dead center field, which is the farthest to the right that the U3 is typically going to chase. Look at where from his 18-foot starting position, his actual parallel to the flight of the ball is to the left of the left fielder's normal position. So more, you'll be better off if you keep your chases near your line. If the ball's near the line, if it's in the air and it's going to land anywhere close to the line, turn, straddle the line, get steps if you need to, if it's deep. But then you have fair foul, catch, no catch. Fair and foul is your first priority, naturally, because if it's caught, everybody knows it. But if it's not caught, you need to know whether it was touched over fair or over foul. If the ball is obviously foul, your next priority is the fence. So if that ball is not going to be anywhere near the line, leave the line, move directly to the fence, see if that girl, if it touched the fence or if the girl made a clean catch. If you have a short chase, a pop-up near your starting position, either in fair or foul ground, move toward the plate. We call it swimming upstream because you're like a salmon. You're avoiding the defenders as they're going out after the ball. Once you're clear of them, turn your back, take the call. It looks great when it's done well. We also criticize you if you go when you don't need to. We want to chase everything that has potential to touch leather. It's high school. You never know what they're going to do. But as we tell the crews often, a good no chase decision is much more valuable than a routine chase. As Cindy said, know where your outfielders are playing, take a look at them, know if they're shallow or deep, know where they're playing and check them often. And if that ball is going to be a shot in the gap, then keep all three of you on the bases to do the job. And again, there's my email and my phone number. Any questions afterwards or anytime, any of you guys that are watching it online in early April, don't hesitate to give me a call if you want to talk about something or question something that we talked about during this webinar.
Larry,
Yes.
will you be able to go and get to the official central hub and then show
Yes.
everybody that section, just that's what they can go to?
Yeah, I should be able to. Hang on.
All right, while he's doing that, most of those items that he had talked about for U3 also apply to U1. So they're very interchangeable. If you're on the line, foul ball to the fence, you got to get to the fence. We can help on bracketing balls, no runners on, helping the plate person, especially if it's a questionable one right in front of you, go get it. There's nobody on, so we can do things like that. As far as steals, U1, if you got a runner on first, make sure you take a couple steps towards first base and look up the chute. You can help your U3 with any calls at second. Also, if there's only a runner on second and you're going to third and they're stealing the third, you can also take another couple steps towards second base and help out with that call as well. So, always be looking, looking to get help your partners.
Here's, okay, I'm sharing again. Good.
So, yeah.
FHSAA Central Hub, go to sports, go to softball. And there's lots of stuff. There's webinars that we've had in the past. We've got the Florida pitching rule. We've got the 2023 FHSAA softball mechanics. Down here somewhere, we got Three-Umpire system tips, all those things. And there's lots of good stuff there for your training sessions.
Yeah, Larry, everything is on that section. And if they don't want to listen to the webinar, everything is in PowerPoint. We've all listed the PowerPoint. I think there is one section that needs to be corrected at some point, but there's something about the jewelry. So don't forget that little bugaboo.
Good rule change this year, right?
Yeah, as long as we don't step into it, and do what we do. But know that on some of the info, we've got to update it. So be aware that yes, they are allowed to wear jewelry, but be safe. Don't let it go crazy. But then don't go dipping your toe into something you don't need to.
Right. Let me just share. Here's one that college game, 3-umpire. No runners, pop up actually near his position. He realizes, oh man, I got second base. That ball drops. Made kind of a flying safe there, but good job to get there. Again, he's reading the pop-up. He's given the shortstop room. He's like, oh man, I got to get to second. Ball drops. Good hustle. Throws there, but not in time. Safe. Big, quick flying safe. So
Yeah, Larry, and that's also something of where we could deviate and communicate. If you
Yeah,
did
'cause-
get stuck and you're not able to get there, first base hump, be ready to go and cover, right?
Right. If he gets stuck out there because that ball's right near his position, communicate. He can communicate and he can say, I've got second. But again, it's a deviation. Normally, we don't pre-plan a deviation. So you three, you got second base on pop-ups in the infield. And one more.
And,
We
and
talked
just
about-
just note where U1 was. U1 was taking that runner into second until he saw U3 come across.
Yep.
So normally, if it was a normal play, he would not be that far towards second
Okay.
base, just
Yeah.
FYI.
And here we are, we've got a runner on first on this one. So U3 is rotated and U1 is in foul territory. Both of them are 12 feet back from the baseline. Remember that. Remember Cindy said, if you've got a force play and you start 12 feet back, you're not deep enough. So we've got a runner on first. You got an out there. Can't blow it up, but I think he missed the call. It was close. But she hits the bag right there. And look at his distance.
Well, look at the angle. Why are you moving from a good calling position to something where
Well,
now you
he's
took your.
actually moving the right direction because it was kind of outside the baseline, but he needed to get deeper. I mean, he moved in from 12 feet, well, maybe 12 feet to about 8. And I think the play blew up on him. So he's almost in our high school U3 rotated position there. On the line from the inside of third base, the inside of second, and 12 feet back. Okay, at this point, back up. Give yourself distance. But he's moving
Well, and
towards.
if you watch, yeah, U1 didn't move either. So if you're looking at U1, he's just coming straight in as well. So if that play would have been at first, he'd have been in the same situation.
Yeah, this field, the cutouts on this field are only about 15 feet. I mean, if you're starting at 18, you're actually on the grass. There's a pretty shallow infield. So you can see where he was when he started at about 12. And he didn't give himself, if the play went to first, he doesn't have proper distance for a force play either.
Nope.
But the play went the Argos way, so I didn't argue.
And remember, plate umpires, your priority there is not going up the line. You've got to make sure nothing happens at second as well for a second set of eyes. So don't get blocked out by moving too far up the line with the pitcher there. You can always stay back and you still got your priorities at first to take, pulled foot or
Yeah,
anything.
because you've got a little bit of a crash there at second base.
Yeah.
Great point. Thank you. All right. That's all I wanted to share. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen now and we can answer questions or talk or whatever.
All right. Thank you, Larry. Appreciate that. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to write those in real quick. We'll have a couple of minutes. If anyone has any follow-up questions or concerns or needs something addressed, we can answer those really quick. It is after 7, so I understand if some of you have to go, that is fine as well. But we'll take the next couple of minutes for questions if there are any. If not, then for those who are going to head out, again, we appreciate your time and joining us tonight. And as I said earlier, as we were getting started, this will be posted and put online to rewatch and share with anyone else within the association who you feel needs to watch this webinar.
Can you, when you put it up, Jeremy, can you send it out to all umpires that the webinar's been posted?
Yeah, I'll do that this go around since I know there are a lot. I got a lot of emails as well regarding I have a game tonight, things like that. So I can send that out as well, letting everyone know that it is up and posted. So that's not a big deal.
Yeah, we got rained out
hope
in Pensacola yesterday, so half my umpires are on the field tonight making up games. So.
Well, I hope the rest of the season goes well. From an ejection standpoint for the sport of softball, it's been fairly quiet, which we like. So hopefully there's a lot of preventative officiating happening out there and taking those necessary steps before we have to finally eject a coach or an athlete or something like that. So again, we appreciate everything that you men and women do out there for our student athletes and for us, obviously, to make sure that these games happen throughout the season. And again, hopefully everyone stays safe the rest of the year, no injuries, and are able to finish out the year on a positive note.
All right.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Jeremy.
Thanks,
Hang on, Jeremy. It looks like we've got a couple questions that just came in. All right, so our first question we have, on a base runner stealing first to second, is it acceptable that the first base umpire call obstruction even though the third base umpire covering does not call it?
Any umpire can call obstruction, yes, just like interference. If he sees it and you're sure of it, yes, you can call it.
Yep.
All right. And then we've got another one. When you are at a field with a media box marked but cannot be seen by the umpires, should a game be paused to be better marked?
I think that would be good preventive umpiring. You need to know where that dead ball area is. So yes, coach, we need to paint that a little bit brighter.
Well, that's also something that if you walk the field, maybe you could catch it then. Say, hey, why don't you guys mark that a little darker?
Okay,
Cool.
well, that's
And going back to that first question, I just want to make sure that you realize, yes, U1 can make an obstruction or interference call, but make sure that U3 has not made any call, okay? Because you don't want U3 saying I got nothing, and then U1 comes up with obstruction. So timing is very important in a call like that. You can always call time, get together, get the call right. Okay, but we don't want a double call. So make sure you're paying attention to your partners on calls like that.
Absolutely. Thanks, Cindy. Yeah, because it's U3 on the steal at second. If the potential obstruction or interference takes place near second base, well, it's U3's call. U1's watching. So yeah, you could always get it later if you miss something. Conference and get it right. Good.
all right. Those are the only open questions we have right now. So I guess you guys were pretty thorough today.
So those of you watching it next week who are on the field tonight, you'll have to call your questions in or text them to us. So we'll get you an answer.
Larry, can you hear me?
Yes.
I sent in a chat also. It's something that happened a few years ago at the state where we had a swing and bunt at the plate, and 2 out of the 3 umpires did not see it. So we went to nothing. And then the coach appealed it. And so we went to the 3rd umpire who said, yes, it hit her.
And I chewed you out because I said you had to eat that one as the plate umpire, because if your partner had seen it, he would have killed it when it happened.
You didn't have to say it was me, but thanks, Diane.
Okay, Lisa.
Oh, that's right.
Lisa,
I was
it's
playing. I
Lisa.
see it. So, but I was
Couldn't
curious.
see it.
But,
But your
uh,
your partner who did see it needed to kill it at the time it happened. That's not one that you should go to your partner. You should not conference on that. Said, Coach, I did not see it. If my partners had seen it, they would have killed it when it happened.
apparently not.
Be
True.
ready for the big moment. Be ready.
No, but like I said, I was just curious because we never really touched base on that. And with a 3-man system, plays at the plate like that will happen.
True. And either those base umpires should call dead ball. They should not call interference because you don't know if the ball was in the box or out of the box. You know, leave that to your plate to make that decision. But the plate or the base umpires, either one of them, can kill it if that ball touches, if that batted ball hits the batter and then rolls out.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna go mute myself again.
Yeah.
Give me a call, Rocky.
And we have one more, we have a follow-up from a question earlier about the ball that was not lodged in the fence that the player claimed it was. There's no penalty to that player, correct?
Other than all the runs scored.
Yeah, that would be a penalty. But I don't know if Jeffrey's trying to ask if there's maybe an unsportsmanlike, if it was obvious that she lied about it, or, but I feel like.
Nope. The base coaches should keep them running. I don't think, Jeffrey, I wouldn't go there with that unless for whatever reason it obviously stopped play. Then you get, then we probably need a team warning. And you can, if they stopped, and well, that's the offense's fault for not
Keep going.
for not continuing to play until the umpires kill the play.
Coaching.
Player,
Coaching.
the outfielder cannot kill the play.
There you go.
Perfect. Well, I think that's it then.
All right. Awesome.
All
See
right.
you
Well,
all.
thank you guys. Thank you for another great informative session, and let's do it again sometime.
All
Yeah,
right.
we'll
Again,
see you.
Everybody
see you
remember
all.
to get your recommendations in for states. Those are due on April 14th. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, you need to reach out to me, please do so. But please make sure you get them into me by April 14th.
And we want your best. We want your best crews.
Yes.
Sounds good.
All right. Other than that, we're all set. Everyone have a great night.
All right. Thanks.
See you in Claremont.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Bye.